dkdynamite, and today we're going to be talking about some breaking news in regards to Black Ops 6 zombies, some DLC wonder weapons, plus even more. Definitely stay tuned. But before we jump into that, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below, drop a like, and as a reminder for those trying to get up to date with the entire Dark Ether story, we have every piece of intel from Cold War, Vanguard, MW3, and even Black Ops 6 over on the Detonated Codex. That link is going to be down below in this video's description. Now, as of yesterday, the Hit List Challenge event for Season 1 did get fully leaked over on Twitter, and I made a video talking about what the challenges actually are and what the rewards are going to be for both part of the events, the personal portion and the community portion of Hit List. And unfortunately, none of the upcoming confirmed zombie items were included in the Hit List event. It was unclear if maybe the new perk, ammo mod, field upgrade, or even the gobblegums were going to be included in that challenge event. So considering the blog post does mention a lot of that new content is going to be dropped all throughout Season 1, not in one big content drop, at least that's the way we're interpreting it, it's totally possible another challenge event or update of some sort does end up dropping before DLC 1 does in early December. Now, it's looking really likely, according to some current playlist calendars and timers in-game, that Season 1 Reloaded is going to be around December the 12th, which should be when Citadelle Day More, the next DLC Zombies map, is going to end up dropping in the game. Now, Alan III over on Twitter has been dumping a good amount of information as to what some future Zombies content could be like, and the first report that I want to go over is that apparently a mode or event of some sort is going to be dropping at some point for Black Ops 6. Again, take everything with a grain of salt when it comes to rumors and data mines, because this could of course be cancelled or later changed content, but it says Control, a meteorite has broken apart above the area, scattering fragments of element 115 across the AO. Each fragment is highly volatile and must be destroyed. He then followed up with, the guild is already on site, attempting to retrieve them, locate and destroy every fragment and eliminate any threats in the area. Now, this sounds like a mode for either MP or Warzone, but hey, if it's for zombies, that would be pretty cool as well. However, I kind of doubt it, and the thing is, I would assume they would maybe reuse the meteorite that is already in the Terminus side quest, which I covered in a video a couple of weeks ago. So yeah, maybe they'll reuse that meteorite for another event or LTM, and that's the thing, right? Anytime we get a new season without a round-based map, because there will be one or two where that happens, I think it'll be really important for Zombies fans to get LTMs or cool events that are either exclusive to the zombie mode or some type of big celebration crossover that kind of bleeds into multiplayer or Warzone. Now, he's also reporting that the Hellhounds will also be returning in a future map, and we know as of now we only have the Vermin and the Parasites for our dog rounds. We don't actually have any Hellhounds in Black Ops 6, so that'll be cool to see their return either in DLC 1 or a future round-based map. Keep in mind, when it comes to the leaks that Alan is posting over on Twitter, they don't exactly have to be for DLC 1. Some of them may be, and one of them for sure is, as we'll circle back to in a second, but some other ones could be for other round-based maps that we'll see in 2025, and on top of that, could just be canceled altogether. Now, other enemy types were also mentioned, something called a Mecha Klaus and even a Mimic. So I don't know if this confirms Klaus is going to be returning in a future round-based map. Could it be something like Klaus, and this is just his code name that got leaked out? Totally unknown, but hey, Klaus is currently a playable operator thanks to the Vault Edition, so if we end up seeing other variants of Klaus, it'll be cool to see if we can also get operator skins we can take into MP or Warzone that are variants of Klaus, who knows? But he also mentioned the Mimic. Now, what wasn't found, at least not to my understanding, is whatever that new enemy type is that got teased in the Season 1 blog post. That new enemy doesn't look like a Mimic and could be that really weird ghoul type character that was on some Call of Duty Zombies merch that recently released online. Could just be a separate entity altogether, but obviously that specific enemy is going to be for Citadelle Day More, and the description of the map so far says that we're going to be experiencing ghoulish horrors while roaming through this big castle, so that has to be one of the enemies. But here's where things get a little crazy. So Alan also reported that the OG Wunderfizz is apparently coming back in Black Ops 6. He doesn't know what map it'll be for or if it's cut content, but apparently it exists with a spawn trail like the mystery box and will give a random perk. This is always how the Wunderfizz worked in Call of Duty Zombies until I want to say Cold War, where it then became this big vending machine where you can just pick whatever perk you want, but obviously that Wunderfizz machine didn't spawn until a much later round, like in the mid-20s, and that's the way that Wunderfizz has worked ever since. So is it possible that one of the upcoming round-based maps has the OG Wunderfizz, or maybe was it planned and maybe put together at one point but then later scrapped in favor of the new version of Wunderfizz that has been in Zombies since I believe it was Cold War. And obviously I mentioned this in a recent Zombies video, but other perks like Double Tap, Death Perception, Vulture Aid, even Tombstone, those leaked out just recently. And obviously you can also see a reference to Widow's Wine in the recent I Dead Zombies bundle. So is it possible that maybe some of those perks don't end up actually releasing with new perk machines or as exclusives to new round-based maps, but instead could just be added into the Wunderfizz, whether it's the classic or the new version, and that'll be the only way to possibly obtain those perks apart from some of the actual newer ones that end up coming in the future. Just a bit of a theory there. But jumping into Wonder Weapons now, Alan also reported that the Wunderwaffe DG2 is also in the game's files. As far as what map we'll see it on, again, that is a question mark, but we did see the Wunderwaffe pretty clearly in the Liberty Falls intro cinematic cutscene, so that weapon at some point is bound to return, either at some point after we rescue Richtofen or find him in the Dark Ether. Maybe we'll come across the Wunderwaffe somewhere. Totally a theory as of now, but the Wunderwaffe has been featured in several Zombies experiences now, including the semi-recent Call of Duty Vanguard. Now, I know the Wunderwaffe kind of had a bit of a different origin story inside of the Vanguard prequel, but considering they're kind of tying everything in from Vanguard into Black Ops 6, especially with the fact they're going after Dr. Kraft, I'd be curious to see how they've now re-established the Wunderwaffe in our current timeline and how Richtofen may have had a helping hand in getting out this new prototype for it. Now, the big reveal here from Alan III is that on Citadelle Day More, yes, this leak directly refers to the upcoming round-based map, we're going to be looking at the Umbral Blade, or the Umbral Blade, however you want to pronounce it. This is apparently a reference to the Wonder Weapon we're going to be seeing inside of DLC 1, and yes, Alan did follow up in the replies of this tweet by saying that we're going to be looking at 4 elemental variants for this Wonder Weapon. Now, if I think back to some of the older round-based maps, we've never really gotten elemental swords. I mean, we've seen a sword through the Field Upgrade Specialist on Shadows of Evil, but we've only really seen elemental variants of everything but a sword. I mean, we had the bows, the staffs, we had the Die Shockwave elemental variants, and I think it's great that Treyarch doesn't really do the whole elemental variant system every single round-based map, or really, honestly, not as frequently. It's cool when you see a map like Mod or Toten have different variants of a Wonder Weapon, but not elemental variants, right? You gotta be really specific when thinking about how Wonder Weapons have been handled before. They wanna make sure that system probably doesn't get too repetitive, but how ironic is it that Citadelle Day More, based on the key art for the map, does look like it could be like this spiritual successor to Der Eisendrache, which was DLC 1 for Black Ops 3, and that map had elemental bows. Now, considering we're going into a castle and maybe looking into some medieval-like lore that's going to be tied into the Dark Ether story, I think it's going to be really cool to see how they can tie in, you know, knights or swords or other type of medieval artifacts that somehow kind of wrap a bow around the whole narrative going on with DLC 1. But I think it's a given that if we have elemental swords, we're going to have to craft all of them for the main Easter egg, and either way, it doesn't rule out the possibility of still seeing a universal Wonder Weapon added into the box, which as of recently was rumored to be the Ray Gun Mark II, so we could be looking at a pretty big content drop come December. I think it's going to be a really impressive map overall, just based on how the map looks. I know there's been some theories that, oh, you know, it's an Avalon, it's part of a Warzone map, but during the flyover of Avalon that I know I did in Codcaster mode, you can't find this castle anywhere. So either this gets added to the big Warzone map next year, or it just isn't a part of the Warzone map at all, but happens to take place over in Avalon. But it's like I said before, I think DLC 1 is always really important for a Zombies game. You want to make sure that first DLC map really hits a home run, because it kind of sets the tone and precedent for the rest of the year and kind of maintains the momentum or hype that may have been established from the launch window. It keeps that going and then kind of just, you know, passes it over into the rest of the DLC cycle so that the entire year is a healthy one for fans. But Alan followed up by saying that there's 3 other DLC maps after Citadelle Day More, so it does look like we're looking at a very similar structure to Cold War, where you end up getting 4 big drops after the launch window, except Cold War was a bit different because DLC 2 was considered Outbreak, and then there was a big gap from Outbreak into Mod or Toten, which was kind of odd, but it looks like we are getting 3 other round-based maps after Citadelle Day More that'll be spread throughout 2025, and likely we'll see the same schedule according to leakers as what we saw in Cold War, where DLC 2 is around Season 3, DLC 3 will be around Season 4 Reloaded, and then DLC 4 could be around the launch of Season 6. Could even be much sooner sooner than that, especially considering there's another Black Ops game rumored for next year, so we'll have to wait and see how they're going to handle all of this. But to round things out, if you guys are wondering what's going on with Outbreak or a big experience for Black Ops 6, doesn't look like one is happening, but according to leakers, these are the following game modes that are still planned for BO6, which again could have been canceled at any point in time already or aren't for BO6 at all. We have Classic mode, which again is up for debate as to whether or not it's real and kind of what that entails. Could be something as simple as, yeah, disables loadouts, salvage, crafting stations, etc., etc. But then there's Grief, which could work similarly to the BO2 Grief, which pits 4 players against another 4, and it's just about which team could survive the longest. Then we have Turn, where maybe you're playing a bit of a zombies gun game, and then whoever becomes quote-unquote infected will become a zombie, which, funny enough, you can already play as a zombie in multiplayer's infected mode. Maybe it's gonna borrow some assets from that. And then, of course, we have Jingle Hells, right? They promised Codmas again this year, which is the Christmas event in Season 1 Reloaded, and we know we have Archie's Festive Frenzy Challenge event on top of Holiday Nuketown. So as far as what zombies is going to get for Christmas, apart from DLC 1, it's probably something to do here with a new iteration of Jingle Hells. But that is about it. This has been dkdynamite. Leave our thoughts down below in the comment section. What are your thoughts on the current rumors for the future of Black Ops 6? How are you feeling about elemental swords being added into Citadelle Day more, plus everything else we discussed? Really hope you've enjoyed, and peace out, everybody.